Hi, it's Rachel. So I'm going to wrap up this for you, or perhaps open up a lot of questions for you. But in Revelation 4, John says, "After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, 'Come up here, and I will show you the things which must take place after this.' Immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne." Okay, the kingdom of heaven, this is what this revelation is all about. Remember, you always kind of pull back and remember this is about the revelation of Jesus Christ in this earth, heaven and earth in heaven, the new heavens and the new earth, everything being recreated. And that means this is the redemption and the salvation of mankind, which means God's Spirit is coming into us. That's the new covenant. So this chapter has a layer upon a layer, which is like a picture upon a picture. One picture is when you're looking into heaven, it's like looking into the spirit of someone, and this is kind of what you see. You see when God's sitting there on the throne, that means He's directing everything about you. This is a picture, but it's also showing the other layer of this that this is teaching is that in this earth there is the temple of God, just like there is the body of Christ. So people have their different roles. So it's like there are different parts of the temple, but they're all the temple of God. They're all holding the Spirit of God. So this, especially with the 24 elders and the thrones, you're also seeing that there is a structure to the kingdom of heaven and how His truth flows out, how things are recreated, how it's set up. And you also see this in the last chapters of Ezekiel, right? That throne is showing, that temple is showing how God's people are working and flowing together in this kingdom of heaven. Okay, because we have different purposes, different roles. It's all directed by God. That's that layer. But the layer that I'm talking about is the individual layer, because that's where it starts. It starts with our hearts and in God coming and sitting on His throne, which is in each one of us. So that's why when you go down to verse, verse 6, before the throne there was a sea of glass like crystal, and in the midst of the throne and around the throne, in the midst where also Christ was, the Lamb was in the midst of the throne, and there around the throne were 4 living creatures full of eyes in front and back. So here you have the throne is the very core of you, because everything comes out from the very core and it comes out. Okay, and so when God is in the very core, He is governing everything about you, your mind, your heart, your personality, everything. He's creating your reality. It's all His. Okay, so it's like these creatures, which are the living creatures, it's like this is showing a picture of what a living creature looks like. It has these spirits and it has these different faces, these different parts of it. The lion, the calf, the man, the eagle, because it represents different parts of their transformation, that what brought them about into a living creature, because that's what we're learning about. Okay, so these seals, these concepts of understanding, this truth that is setting us free, it's us coming alive. It's God recreating us into a new creation. And so when you go back and you read Ezekiel 1, you see these living creatures again. And I just want to read a couple of verses from here. In verse 4 it says, "Then I looked, and behold, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire engulfing itself. And brightness was all around it and radiating out of its midst like the color of amber out of the midst of the fire." This is being that light of God. We meet Christ in the air. We meet Him in the clouds. This is in the Spirit. And when you are a part of Him, you are engulfed. He is a consuming fire. It engulfs everything. That's why you have this beautiful golden ray of amber. It's also symbolizing that light that is emanating from it, that is shining out from it. This is describing what is happening within the Spirit, okay, and what's coming out of the Spirit. And this is what it says in verse 5. Also from within it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And then it goes into it, okay? As you read that chapter, read it and you're going to see how it is describing also when you are a living creature of God, how you are governed, what your appearance is, just like you see in the throne room in Revelation 4. You're understanding that just like it says in verse, 12, and each one went straight forward. They went wherever the Spirit wanted to go. They did not turn when they went. It means the Spirit completely directed these creatures. And that's what's happened when you come into a new creation, when you become this butterfly. Remember, the wind carries you and then you land. And the wind carries you again to move you and you land. You are no longer attached to the earth. The ground, the earth, the flesh, the dust, that doesn't govern you. That doesn't move you anymore. What moves you is the Spirit of God. Okay? And that's what you see is happening with these creatures. Okay, then in verse 14 it says, and the living creatures ran back and forth in appearance like a flash of lightning. Remember, that's what it says when Christ comes. That's what it's going to look like, a flash of lightning. Because they are the power, that fire, that pure energy, that pure Spirit of God moving. And it is going to be out of, when people start becoming these living creatures with the throne of God in them, established in the Holy of Holies, out from them is going to be coming the voices and the lightnings and the thunders, the proclamations of God, the power of God, the fire of God, the words, because it is by God's words that He creates, that He destroys and that He creates. It is His word. That is Christ is the word. It is so powerful. Okay, and so then in verse 19 it says, when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Now in Daniel 7:9, it talks about the wheels, a burning fire that are part of the throne. His throne was a fiery flame. Its wheels, a burning fire. This is the Spirit was in the wheels. In verse 20, wherever the Spirit wanted to go, they went. That's, again, just like the butterfly, the air, the breath of God, the power of God. All, when you're a living creature, the only thing governing you is the Spirit of God. And that's what it's showing with these creatures. Because where the Spirit went and the wheels were lifted together with them, for the Spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. The wheels were a part of the throne. The throne, that is where God's Spirit dwells. And so wherever His Spirit wants to go, that's where you go. And let's see. So so in verse 24, when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, okay? Like the noise of many waters, like the voice of the Almighty. So when we move, remember, we're carried by the Spirit of God. These creatures, it's like the Spirit of God is coming, is a voice too. That's what it's showing. So we're talking about the sons of God being revealed and the Spirit of God flowing through them. They're the fount of living waters. And coming because they're attached to the tree of life, and and those waters are flowing through them, and it's coming through their words. Their words are like the voice of the Almighty, their voice, because it's no longer every part of them, when you become a living creature, every part is directed by God. Every part. And it says, and when they stood still, they let down their wings. When you land, you're not directing yourself. Okay? It's only when the Spirit moves you. But that's when you become that living creature. God's constantly moving your spirit. There is so much in here, and there is so much to learn. And as I said, there is layer upon layer. But may these words truly bless you. May they help enlighten you to understand the beauty and the perfection of God's work in you, the magnitude of it, His beautiful plan of perfection that He has for these days, of how He's coming into His creation and recreating it and bringing heaven to earth and coming up through us. It's the most magnificent, beautiful plan.